It's Sunday, August 24th, and you tuned into the People's Patriot Project. We got your 6 at 6. Right now, you're listening to We Patriot Radio, proudly produced in partnership with Breeze Across America Radio. Together, we share a mission. Remember the fallen, honor those who have served, and teach future generations the value of freedom. The freedom secured by the men and women who have worn our national's uniform. Stay tuned for You Got Your 6 at 6. Currently playing on We Patriot Radio. Till the last shot's fired. Scotty Hasty. Feature Lee Bryce and Dolly Parton.
Trucker. Dockers, roll out. You're watching or listening to We Got Your 6 at 6 Patriot Playtime. We the people, the People's Patriot Project.
To put your skill set, your thoughts, and ideas, or want to help continue the mission, you have come to the right place. We are the People's Patriot Project, and we are the shock and awe when it comes to meeting the needs of our veterans and first responders. We are dealing with a new enemy in today's world where the wounds are not always seen. We want you to be a part of this mission in saving lives and making a difference. Welcome to We Got Your 6 at 6 Patriot Playtime. Here's the We P3 team bringing you today's best heroes hits in the boots on the ground organizations that are saving lives. And as always, Patriot Pride.
Left, your left, hey. Left, right, your left. You got it.
Trucker.
You got it.
Good evening.
Y'all don't really.
Wow. What is that music? This is Andrea Eichmann here. I am with the People's Patriot Project, and I and Mark are here tonight to bring you our weekly show / podcast that we call We Got Your 6 at 6. Every week we have a guest, and often we have a new artist. Tonight we have it all wrapped into one. We're going to have some amazing discussions with our guest, who is musician and U.S. Air Force veteran, Mr. Jimmy Weber. We're also lucky enough to have Frank DeMith, and he might pop in a little bit later to join the fun and see what's happening when he gets here. Maybe you guys can help us interview him and see if he would like to be here more often. I think that might be a little plan. Don't tell him, though. Don't tell him. All right. Thanks for being here today. We had a chat with Jimmy the other day. It was awesome. So sharing the pieces of his growth, his choices, and all the decisions he's made is a great way to help support others who may need it. That's what we do, what we need to put back into our world. It helps us when we can validate through both what you've done and what you've been through and all the hard work, that it means a really lot to have you here on the show and the podcast, not just as a guest, but also as someone who has served and sacrificed for something bigger than yourself. We're very grateful for your time, your stories, and of course, your service. Same to Frank when he gets here. Also, a word from our sponsors. We've got Catch 22 coming in with Derek Iozio. Derek is also, we refer to him as the Godfather. He's a member of our board because whatever we need done, he seems to be able to find an answer. It's kind of amazing. We also have Operation Texas Strong with Peggy and Bobby Kretzinger. I don't know why I can't talk tonight. Oh my gosh. Operation Texas Strong with Peggy and Bobby Kretzinger. They actually, I just saw it today. But they just gave away, they regifted. Somebody gave back. So that means they must have done well. And then they gave back the camper or the RV that Kretzingers had given them. Operation Texas Strong gave them, and then they gave it back to Operation Texas Strong. And it will be going to Kerrville, to a veteran whose home was pretty much affected down there, and they needed a place to live for a while. And then we have the Boho Hobos Hideaway with Lauren Iozio. This is in Livingston, Texas. Mark's going to put up a link here in a second, or I will. I see his little cursor here in the form. You guys, if you need a break and you're going to Texas and you just want to get away out of the world for a little bit, or really if you want to just have a place to stay and go do a lot of other things, the Boho Hobos Hideaway is cute, quaint, comfortable. It's a beautiful little area of the world. So check out the Boho Hobos Hideaway. There's a link. It's on Airbnb, so you can just check it out there as well. We also have Brian Kenzer, who is not with us tonight, but he is quite often with us. You can talk to Brian about health, wellness, and supporting American families, jobs, and the economy. And you can talk about the WeP3 mission. Mark's putting up a website link as well. So this is Brian's business, but the company he works for is also able to pop in the People's Patriot Project as a nonprofit group to donate to. So it's been a cool relationship. Brian is he's rarely here. And when he does get here, he usually goes out on a call. He's a captain and sails yachts and sailboats and big ships. And he doesn't sail the big ships, he drives them, captains them. Anyway, and then he's also a volunteer. I don't know why I can't talk. He's also a volunteer at this local first responder department. And so then when he's here, he's usually not here. Anyway, I want you guys to keep in mind, December 13th, we'll talk about it more later, but that is Wreaths Across America Day at your local national cemetery. Please look into sponsoring a wreath to put on the grave of a veteran in remembrance. Remember, honor. And we also teach when we join Wreaths Across America on that day. There's a little ceremony, a little celebration, and then everybody goes out and puts wreaths on these headstones to show them thanks and honor. And it's really quite cool and quite touching. So let's come together and do that and make sure no one is forgotten. We also have Brother Joe Mish. We're just going to throw a big shout out there for his temple massager. One of Peterson's favorite things. I'm not even going to joke about it this week because I started massaging my dog's temples, and it's amazing. It even works on your dogs, you guys. Try it out. When you order it online, put in the code WEP3 and get 20% off. And then get your massager in the mail and massage those temples, and it's amazing. So all of you out there, sponsors, guests, all of our listeners, thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting us. Thank you for being with us. Before we dive into this week's show, please just take a moment to join us for this amazing version of the Star Spangled Banner, our national anthem with Dave Bray, USA.
Ladies and gentlemen, please take the time to stand if you are capable of standing. Out of honor and respect, please remove your covers and prepare yourself how you need to show your greatest gratitude for the amazing freedoms and liberties we have achieved under one of the most powerful symbols in the world. Please cast your attention as we respect our old glory.
So proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight. Oh, the red
Yep, here we are, folks. I got the chill bumps, man. Gosh dang it. It is an amazing. Does anything come across? I'm going to throw Andrea under the bus.
Yeah.
Right off the bat. Andrea, does anything happen to you as a person when you hear the national anthem?
Yes. Thank you for asking. It's the weirdest. It's not weird to me. It's amazing to me. But I was just thinking about this because a couple weeks ago, it touches me even more when I'm in big groups. Like we went to the demo derby at the little county fair a couple weeks ago. And, we're teaching he's almost 3-year-old grandson to do the stand up, put your hand on it. And I watched his daddy do that. And I was like, there's this big sense of pride because I've seen kids running all over, not having a clue what's going on. I remember being a kid and you heard that and you stopped in your tracks and you paid attention. And so I get all mushy and weepy and teary. I don't know it just touches me every single time I hear it. Now, Dave Bray's version that we just listened to also has me tapping my toe as I'm getting all mushy and weepy because the tune is fantastically upbeat. But I get very emotional.
You mean Weber? Does the national anthem have an effect on you and your who you are?
Well, absolutely. Hey, by the way, hello to both of you. It's good to be here today. I've had the privilege of performing the national anthem. I don't know how many times now. I've lost count. But this last year, I was able to perform at the College World Series, which was a big honor. I performed at Elite 8 games for the NCAA basketball tournament, for football games, professional games, and one of the things that I love about it is it unites people. As a veteran, having served under that flag for so long, when I see that flag, it means a lot to me because my son's in the Air Force Reserve right now and recently did a casket transfer here at Offutt Air Force Base. The DPAA is here, and one of their missions, their main mission is finding lost service members killed in action, finding their remains. All the way back to World War II, they had members return under that flag very recently here at Offutt. So when I hear that anthem, I connect it with that flag, and when I see that flag, I connect it to our country and everything we stand for. So it definitely moves me. It's a privilege to sing that national anthem, and it's a privilege to hear it.
I don't know what the actual feeling is, other than I'm going to call it pride, Patriot pride. It just makes me proud, knowing that people have given up parts of themselves and all of themselves so that we can run around as a country and do the things that we do. And I don't know why. I mean, I was gifted with the opportunity to play a lot of athletics and a lot of sports in my life. And standing on the field is a little different. But I love going to a good rodeo and watching how people react to when they see Old Glory come into the stadium. It is just, I get chill bumps. I love it. I don't know what it is. I'm not a real weepy kind of person, but it's like there is a moment, usually every single time I hear it, that something grabs the feels in me, and it's like, you know what? Do you know how lucky you are to have the things you have? Because the premise, the purpose, the reason why that flag exists, and the men and women that made it all plausible. Oh my gosh. We got a whole slew of people jumping in to say hi. Dylan Petrie, good to see you. Derek Iozio, the Godfather, in the house. Stephen Bearden, nice to see you again, brother. You're becoming a regular, dog. Love seeing it. I saw Travis Partington in here. Oscar Mike Radio, good to see you, brother. Thank you for being here. long time, too long, and we got to fix that here in the near future. Miss Eichmann, would you share with us what are the pressing issues in our recent news in regards to our veterans and first responders, please?
Yes, indeed. We are coming up at the end of August, so I will share this, and you're welcome. You're welcome, Mr. Bearden. Sharing this with you at the end of August is Anti-Terrorism Awareness Month, and this is designed to raise awareness not only for the threat of terrorism, but also to encourage regular vigilance and communication to report external or potential threats. Throughout the month, there is a series of articles highlighting key points to keep that awareness increased, and it has goals, objectives, and measures to take if you suspect something is happening. So that's all of August. And then we have coming up on the 29th, the Marine Corps Reserve's birthday. This is also known, they're known as the Marine Corps Reserves or the U.S. Marine Corps Forces Reserve. This was created in 1960 in conjunction with the creation of the Navy Reserve. Since then, the evolution of this force has expanded from just 35 to today's roughly 40,000 Marine Corps reservists. The Marine Corps Reserve birthday is observed every year on the 29th of August. And the Marine Forces Reserve is tasked with the mission of augmenting and reinforcing active duty. Active duty Marine forces during a war or open hostilities, national emergencies, and contingency operations. The Marine Corps Reserve also relieves active duty forces in peacetime missions and offers service to the community. I had this little golf tournament on Friday, and it's as the civilian in the room, it always amazes me. You start talking and you're like, I bet this guy served. Anyway, so one of the guys that was helping us was Marines, but he was not he was kind of the covert guy. So he was the smart, with the notebook that was always hidden guy, and nobody believed the things that they were doing. They didn't think they existed. And so I got to hear that story. It was kind of interesting and very fun. And I'm sad that they thought he was a nerdy guy, but he was the smart guy taking care of things behind the scenes. So anyway, thank you to our Marine Corps Reserves and Marine Forces Reserves. Thank you so very much for all that you do. And thank you, Mr. Peterson, for letting me be here.
Whatever. I don't have a choice in that matter. You just keep showing up. I don't know why, but you keep doing it. I mean, it's appreciated and all, but the glue that holds it all together for the People's Patriot Project, that amazing lady right there. This is our call to action time real quick. Regular, constantly, all the time, I tell our board, we are a working group. We are boots on the ground. We're going to be the tip of the spear. We're going to be in the mix. We're going to suck in that smoke. We're going to build, grow, grind, all the things. And if you're going to be here watching our show, we're putting you to work as well. Everyone has a mobile device in their possession. I want you to go in, open up your text threads. I want you to put on the message line, checking with you. This is our Check 6 opportunity. First thing you need to do in Check 6 is make sure that you are in the right space. You do your battle check. All things are good. If you're not in the right space, you need to reach out to a trusted individual, a trusted organization, a place, a spot, some place where you can get your mind. We're not here to fix you. We're here to support. We're here to be by your side. And you know what? It's kind of like putting the little mask on in the airport or in the airplane. I've never had to do it. I hope no one ever really has to do it. But you can't help yourself or you can't help others until you help yourself. So take time, check yourself, make sure your mental's in the right place, take care of you. And then the biggest part of our mission is we would like you to, hey, just thinking about you or just checking on you, you're going to reach out to 6 people in your contact list. Yes, we are veteran and first responder forward. But in today's world, time and place, everyone is an essential feature in your life. Check on them, make sure they're in a good space, and if they need support, let's find a way to get those supports to them. I have a whole bigger write-up on this that's supposed to come out in video form. It's taking a minute. I'm a little bit distracted, but we won't get into that mix either. I don't know if you'll notice there's a chunk of this space over here that may not have very much stuff in it anymore. There's a reason why, but it's all good for a better purpose, reason, and cause. We're getting there. But now it's time. We need to dig deeper. Like Andrea said, we were out doing some boots on the ground work the other day, and Mr. Weber said, "Hey, I'd really like to talk to you guys personally. Can you make that work?" And I'm like, "Too easy, right now, too." And we got him on the phone. It was amazing to know all the connections that we have in each other's lives. But just had Mr. Weber, tell us who you are. Tell us about your service. And we'll go from there. I mean, it's all us tonight. So usually we have a Boots on the Ground organization with us. It didn't work out for tonight, and they had to cancel, and that's fine. We'll get them in here another time. But let's learn about Jimmy Weber and what he's doing.
Well, thanks for having me on. It's great to be living here in Omaha, Nebraska. So I grew up in South Dakota, and when I turned 21, I auditioned for the Air Force Band here at Offutt Air Force Base near Omaha, and I was accepted. And I joined, and it changed my life. I did 24 years as a guitar player and singer with the Air Force Band, and had the privilege of deploying multiple times to places like Afghanistan, Iraq, and dozens of other countries. I'm mainly playing for our troops over there. And our stateside mission was to perform around the country and promote the Air Force. A lot of times people don't live near an Air Force base or an Army base or etc. So the military bands are a big piece of the recruiting mission, because we can go into those communities and perform, and usually in uniform they perform still to this day. And folks come out and say, wow, there's that. Usually the bands are just terrific too. I was very blessed to be part of that. And after a performance, people would always come up and say, I had no idea that there was such a thing in the military. And we could let them know that there were all kinds of jobs. You could serve your country in many different ways than just carrying a rifle or flying an airplane. There was a lot of support mission. And so it was great for the recruiting mission. It was great for our troops overseas who sometimes the USO and other support organizations couldn't get entertainment to them. And especially years ago, there weren't things like the internet. And, you know, when I went over to the first Gulf War, things were pretty sparse in some of the places they were at. So it was great to go bring a little piece of home to our folks, get them singing along, get their mind right, get their mind off of the challenges they were having over there. But it was a privilege. I did that for about 24 years. And I've been writing and recording most of that time too. I was making trips to Nashville. You mentioned we had some mutual friends there. And I recently recorded several albums that were soon to release. You have some of my music that did make its way to iTunes and Amazon and all the streaming sites. So I look forward to, I guess you're going to play some of that today. So I did an album called Black and Blue Heart. So if you look that up on iTunes, Spotify, etc., you'll find that whole album. And the title track is Black and Blue Heart, which tells a little bit of my story. Growing up, playing music, joining the military, and just some of the challenges and triumphs along the way, I guess. So,
is that your lead into Black and Blue Heart? Ready to roll?
I think it will be. If you have it ready to roll, Mark.
Ready to go. This is Mr. Jimmy Weber with Black and Blue Heart.
I dream of future future times in the ultimate gig with my music and rhymes, gonna make it big. The roar of the crowd and the cheers of the fans, they like it when it's loud, so we do what we can, living rock and roll dreams with a black and blue heart. It's not all it seems inside and broken apart. Reel it all in, just like a star, with rock and roll dreams and a black and blue heart. I love my life on the road, but it's been hard on me. I get the feeling damn old, didn't happen for free. The heart turned black the day I lost you. Memories come back, make my blood run blue. Living rock and roll dreams with a black and blue heart. It's not all it seems inside and broken apart. Reel it all in, just like a star, with rock and roll dreams and a black and blue heart. I'm so blessed to be free, to travel this land. Nowhere I'd rather be than with my guitar and band. Living rock and roll dreams almost every night, leaving lonely hearts in the morning light. Living rock and roll dreams with a black and blue heart. It's not all it seems inside and broken apart. Reel it all in, just like a star, with rock and roll dreams and a black and blue heart. Blue heart. Yeah.
That is Jimmy Weber, Black and Blue Heart. And you can hear him currently on, not currently now, but Mr. Weber's music is up on WeP3 Radio. It's real simple to get there. All you got to do is, if you're on the old Google McGoogle Snapper Chatter thing, is type in WeP3 Radio, and it's the first thing that'll come up. We got some awesome SEO stuff working in there, and Mr. Weber is going to be there. It's the only radio station in the country that plays only veterans and first responders at the volume that is out there. Over 200 plus musicians, but again, we're here featuring the one and only Jimmy Weber. Mr. Weber, what does it feel like hearing your music, like sitting there and hearing it? What does that? Tell me the feels.
It always feels weird to me to hear my music, because people ask me, do you listen to your stuff at home? And I say, absolutely not, unless I'm doing it for reference or, doing a mix down, something like that. So it's always strange to me. I hate my picture. I hate my sound of my voice, but apparently we just had a show last night, had a great time, and I love singing and performing. It's just always strange to me. My wife is that way. She's beautiful though. And every time she sees a picture of herself, she says, oh, that's terrible. Delete that. And I feel different. So apparently enough people feel different. And are willing to listen to our music, and we're just so grateful for that.
Who influences your style of music?
There's been a lot. I'm a big fan of Vince Gill. I love the sound of his voice. I love his songwriting. I love his guitar playing. And I was fortunate enough to have some of my all-time heroes perform on my record. There's probably the most recorded guitar player in history is on there. Brent Mason, who is a fantastic guitar player. He played on so many records like Chattahoochee and, well, really all the Alan Jackson stuff and Neon Moon. You just hear that snap of his guitar, and he can play it just breakneck speed but still so musical. I love a lot of the great songwriters from the 70s and 80s. They're still active today, like James Taylor. I love him. But my all-time hero was probably Glenn Campbell. He had just a great sense of humor, an incredible talent, one of the greatest guitar players in history also. And he had a television called the Glenn Campbell Good Time Hour. And I remember seeing that, usually reruns. It was a little bit before my time. And I actually got to perform with the Air Force Band in Aberdeen, South Dakota at the Brown County Fair. And he was the headline entertainer. And afterwards, I knew that the artists would go back to the hotel. There wasn't a lot of hotels in Aberdeen, but one of them was the Ramkota Inn. And I would always sneak back when we do those shows because I knew the artists would be streaming in, and all the people that were staying there were usually at the fair. So sure enough, I saw Glenn Campbell, and he came through. First, he came through the bar and he pointed out all the different tech and crew people there, and went and personally thanked them all. He wasn't drinking himself at the time. He knew that the crew would be there. And I was hanging out with some friends there, and I went back. He was playing a game of pool at the hotel, and I walked up to him and I said, "Mr. Campbell, you wouldn't know me, but I played in the Air Force Band. We played earlier today. We had a country and rock group called Nightwing." And he said, "Hey, you want to shoot a game of pool?" And there was nobody else it was in the swimming pool area where they had the pinball games and everything. And I said, "Yes, sure." And so I shot a game of pool with him. His daughter Debbie was there. She was performing with him at the time. They couldn't have been nicer people. They always tell you don't meet your heroes in the entertainment world, but he was my hero. He still is. And he couldn't have been kinder. He just shared some anecdotal stories. He was one of the great studio players of all time. So if you're not familiar with Glenn Campbell somehow, you just got to look him up. He's all over YouTube. His live performances are what really get me. He just incredible. So that's a long answer to a short question. Who are some of your heroes? But definitely those folks in the entertainment business. I was really into rock too. I love bands like Journey, 38 Special. There's just over the years, I like really good melodic music, and a lot of on that song Black and Blue Heart, Brent's in the background playing, but I'm actually laying down the heavier rock sound and the solo and a few things like that. So it's just a privilege to be in the studio with folks like that. And it's interesting how studio works. I would sing just the scratch track, and they would lay down all this foundational music. And then we take that, and my producer, Mike Rogers, we'd go back to his house, and he'd have a project studio there. And that's where I did all my own electric guitar. We call them overdubs. So Brent would already have a great guitar solo in the mix that I could use if I wanted. And I have done that. But I would generally put my own solo and stuff like that just to add my sound to it. So it was just a fantastic experience recording with some of those heroes, meeting heroes like Glenn Campbell. I got to perform once with the Air Force Band as part of the backup band for John Denver at Rosenblatt Stadium here in Omaha. We had just got back from the first Gulf War. We were entertaining troops over there, and John agreed to do a concert, and he asked that we back him up, and we did. He didn't bring any of his own players. We did it. And so if you go to YouTube and type in John Denver Omaha, you'll see a skinny kid with with out of regs hair, I suppose, slightly out of regs, playing lead guitar for John Denver. And he actually calls me and my cousin Susie. We were both performing together in the Air Force Band at the time. And so I've been pretty blessed meeting my heroes. They're always the nicest people. It's the folks that are kind of down here on the climb. Same way in the military, you might find. It's not the 4-star general that's hard to deal with. It's the maybe the mid-level NCO or officer that's trying to claw their way up. But all of the heroes that I've met in the music business have been just incredible people.
I come from the rodeo capital of the world, Cody, Wyoming. And it's not a personal thing, but anytime when Rhinestone Cowboy comes on, I remember, and this vividly sits out of my head, is sweltering hot. There's no AC in cars back then. We're sitting in a 1972 baby blue Plymouth Ballant, and we're sitting right outside of the rodeo grounds, which at that time, if you're from Cody, the rodeo grounds was in 2 different spots. There was one in town, and now it's out of town. But back then, it was right in the middle of town, on top of the hill. And I just remember sweating like, however, a little tiny tots, because it was about 1974, 72 Valiant. And just hot and Rhinestone. And that's the first time I remember. I have to do the history to figure out when the Rhinestone Cowboy song actually came out, but I just remember the first time I heard it. And every time I hear it now, I have a radio station here in Minnesota that plays it daily, and it's just like, that's my jam, and that's it. That's exciting.
For sure.
And then John Denver. Holy cow. All the best. Who doesn't turn on John Denver and do the greatest hits like every once in a while? If you're not doing that, you're not American, man. It's just the way.
Well, I loved playing with John, and we did several songs. We did Country Roads, and that made such an impact on me. I recently recorded that in the studio with Mike Rogers and Janae Flainer on fiddle. She's been the ACM and CMA Musician of the Year like 5 times each. She's just wonderful. And I met most of those folks at the same time. I met a mutual friend, Buddy Hyatt. Now Buddy's he played when he was just 19. I think he was playing with Randy Travis, perhaps. I'll have to ask Buddy again, but I think he played with some of the great artists over the years. In fact, toured with Toto. And you mentioned my heroes before. The band Toto had a huge impact on me. And when I found out Buddy was actually touring with them for 7 years, and here he is producing country records for guys like me, I thought, man, how the mighty have fallen. I joked with him about that, but he couldn't have been nicer and more complimentary to our music that we were doing. I co-write most of my stuff with a couple of different guys. One's Tim Beasy, and the other one is, we call him Handsome Jake Mayer. Also, both are from the Omaha area, but great songwriters. And Rick Tiger, who wrote If I Die Before You Wake, he was one of my big influences and co-writers. But Buddy is producing records, for some of the biggest artists out there, but also made time for me and was very, very kind to me as a veteran as well. Yeah, I think you find that a lot. I don't know about you, Mark and Andrea, but country music in particular, the majority of the people that you're going to meet are big supporters of our veterans and military. Not that rock and pop aren't, but if you're talking about percentage-wise, it's hard to meet a country artist that isn't a big supporter of the military. Mm-hmm. And I actually got to tour with the USO with Wayne Newton. And one of my friends called me and said, "Hey, my wife's having a baby early. I thought of you right away to sub for me. Can you go out next week?" And this was years ago in the early 2000s. And I said, "I would love to, but I don't have a passport, and I had to get one. So Wayne Newton called the Secretary of State, had me a passport in 2 days. This was before a lot of the internet was really up and running, but I went out with Wayne, another hero and another huge supporter of the military, and ran into a bunch of diverse artists that were on the tour, comedians and actors and country artist Neil McCoy, who I've got to do many shows with over the years, just not with him, but that was the only time I played with him. And I played with all the different artists on that tour as lead guitar player for the tour. But the respect that so many artists have for veterans, they in many cases risk their lives to go perform for them. Craig Morgan comes to mind, Jolie Edwards, Shaggy. You have people that are from all kinds of walks of life in the entertainment world that support our veterans, and I'm always grateful for that. So
it was amazing knowing the connections you have with Buddy Hyatt, and we were talking on the phone the other day, and then just realizing, I mean, we have been gifted with having a relationship with Mr. Hyatt ourselves, with giving an opportunity for veterans to go and lay down their tracks with, and again, like Mr. Weber's talking, I mean, in the room when our artists get to go and sit and make these tracks, there are 6 Grammy-winning artists sitting in the room when this happens, and it's amazing. It's amazing to see the connection, and you can sit and watch all these amazing talent music shows that are on right now. I won't call them out by name or anything like that, but you don't know until you're sitting in the space watching the art, the science, the passion of these artists. And I'm not talking the artists that are bringing the music to the studio. I'm talking the people in the studio that have done this for a living.
The studio,
it's mind blowing. It is some of the most brilliant minds in the world doing that stuff, and it's just like it proves itself watching how they do it and put it together. You think it takes days and days and days and days, and everyone's doing and they're following, reading sheet music. That's not how it works, man. Buddy Hyatt is a commander in those studio. He walks in, and there's a definite level of respect that's given towards that man right there. Buddy Hyatt knows his stuff, and I mean, he doesn't have to snap his fingers because everyone is there for the same purpose, reason, cause. But they just lay it down, and it is hit after hit after hit after hit after hit, and it's amazing.
Well,
I love that you had that experience.
Well, they do it with the speed that you would expect from an algorithm or something. You hear about how quickly AI turns things out, but these folks are absolute geniuses at their craft. Years ago, I used to read about bands, rock bands, country bands, whatever, and the studios would give them enormous budgets, and it would take a year to come up with the music that you hear as a hit. It sounds effortless by the time it hits the radio. The Eagles come to mind. They would spend so much time recording, re-recording, going back in. And when you get to a Nashville studio, not all of them are the same. There's a few that stand head and shoulders above the rest, and they're your first call folks. And to be in the same room with those kind of people to record the Black and Blue Heart album and the 2 albums that I've done that haven't been released since, we still have those, in the hopper, so to speak. To see the speed, you would think that there would be compromises along the way. I think I cut 10 songs with Buddy. As far as the backing tracks, all of that, we did that. And I brought my wife, Barbara. That was the first time she'd ever been in a studio. I said, you really have to see how an album is made. And we did 5 hours. We had 10 tracks. That's averaging, 2 hours, a track, which is unheard of. From there, of course, we go to the project studio, and then we'll spend, actually more time adding the vocals and the overdubs. Then you have mix down and all of that. And working with the best is critical when you're trying to bring life to your music, because there's nothing worse than pouring your heart and soul into writing a song and then, having the recording just not inspire you. There's a sense of disappointment. But I've just been really blessed to record with Mike Rogers as my producer and Buddy Hyatt, Lonnie Wilson on drums. If you're a musician, you know who these guys are. I mentioned Glenn Campbell before. Before Glenn Campbell was a big star, he was a studio player in LA. He was part of a group called the Wrecking Crew. And there were some names you probably wouldn't know besides Glenn Campbell's, because he was one of the only ones that became a star in his own right. But they would come in, it'd be Sonny and Cher one day, the Beach Boys, Frank Sinatra, the Byrds, all these iconic albums that you just assume that they had their own bands record. It was these studio geniuses, and they just created a soundtrack for America that's incredible to listen to even today by today's standards, where we have such polished records and stuff. So, I still think there's an element to going into a studio and just recording raw alone sometimes. That's where you get a better sense. People like James Taylor could walk into a studio. You heard that on the Johnny Cash records that he did late in life, where it was just him, a microphone, and maybe one player. And that's where you got some of his greatest music.
I think, and maybe I'm wrong, but I think a gigantic portion of our country has had the opportunity to experience at some point, whether it is elementary, middle school, or high school, have had a chance to play an instrument. And you sit there and you grind and you grind and you grind. And after about 6 weeks, you might have a song that, do you remember Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star? And I'm not trying to make light here. When everyone got the recorder, like in 3rd grade, and I don't know if I'm not a recorder fan, and that was terrible then. And I didn't have it realized, because I thought I was pretty good. But then I had to go watch my own kids play the recorder, and I'm like, no, that should not be allowed ever, for the record. But my point is, I think most of America, most of the world experience is you have to hone and tighten this thing down. And I'm not talking auto-tune, and I'm not talking, do they have the capability of doing that? Yes. But when you walk into these studios right now, here's the song, Buddy Hyatt will write the Nashville score down, which is a bunch of numbers that makes no sense to me. Mr. Weber says he has an understanding of what the Nashville score is and what it looks like and how to do it. But it is a whole different code, and he hands it out to the 6 players in the room, and the next thing you know, there is a polished, within minutes, polished song that has no flaws or errors that I would be able to pick up. And they'll pick it apart and say, 3rd measure on the upside, on the down, flip flop, do that. I'll do a little bend if there, you guys don't mind. Ding ding, and it's done. And it's crazy fun to watch, because it is, in my mind, scientific. So, what are you working on right now, Mr. Weber? What's the Weber camp into?
Well, we're going full-time music right now, and I've always been one of those guys. I worked for the military, either as an active duty senior non-commissioned officer. I retired from the Air Force Band. I was a senior master sergeant, and that may not mean a lot to a lot of the folks that are civilians, but that was a real privilege to reach that rank and then to retire. And then I took a position as what's called an Air Force civilian. And I worked with our nuclear command for a while. And then for the last several years, I managed a resilience program for the Air Force called True North. I was program manager here in Omaha. So I recently took the resignation offer that they had done and early retirement, I guess. And so we're doing music full time. So to answer your question, my time today is spent putting together a touring band. And we are very blessed to have some of the best musicians in the world right here in the Midwest. I'm working right now. Two of my members are the Shaw brothers out of Lincoln, Nebraska, and they have each won the National Flat Picking Championship. One of the brothers won it 4 times. He was defeated one year, and by his other brother. So it's Jason and John Shaw. They're incredible. I have a couple of great steel guitar players I'm working with, keyboards, bass, drums, and it's a very different world, Mark, than the studio, because the studio is one world. That is one approach to music, and most of the players that live and work in the studio, they don't tour because it's too time consuming to take away from their bread and butter work in the studio. But having a great band of live players has been just a joy for me. We just had a show last night here in Iowa, and the band just killed it. So we do some cover. We try to pick great covers, but we also do my original music, and it's great to find it's great if you can find the right balance for your audience. In many cases, if I'm doing a show on a major platform, they want nothing but original music, with the exception of an occasional cover. And you'll see that if you go out and see any artist, they'll usually try to throw in a cover. Different other shows, you might want to reach them first with your version of a song that's already very popular. So all of that requires rehearsal time. And so we've been, people say, "Are you retired now?" I go, "Not really." I'm a full-time musician now, and it's all hands on deck. It requires a lot of support from my wife, Barbara, who I think the band likes her more than they like me. I'm pretty sure about that. And she makes sure that we always have a good rehearsal area in our home, and she allows me to use our home to rehearse. A wiser woman wouldn't. But she loves the music too, and she's such a big part of what we do. So we rely on her for herding the cats, I said. So we're excited. We're going to tour all over the country. You know, I've had the privilege, as far as goals this year, I've had the privilege of playing on the Grand Ole Opry. I did a duo with Ray Scott, who is a great artist. If you're not familiar with Ray, he's one of the greatest writers in country history, and just a great artist himself. Very funny guy. But I did play with him. We did a duet of "How Great Thou Art" at the Grand Ole Opry. It was a special request, and so that night I got to meet Garth Brooks and hang out backstage with him and Trisha a little bit. You know, I'm dropping names like hot rocks here today on the podcast. So excuse me, but my goal, Mark and Andrea, is to get invited to perform as Jimmy Weber on the Grand Ole Opry. That's one of my goals. I hold that place as sacred ground, and we're excited about doing that. And we're looking forward already. I've got 2 albums of stuff we haven't even put out, but I've got another album's worth ready to record. So just finding time with Buddy and Mike, who are both very busy touring with artists. They do tour a little bit. Mike's on tour with Ricky Skaggs. Buddy's out with Daly and Vincent, I think, right now, and some other artists. But it's we've got a lot of dreams and goals for this coming year, and we take it 12 weeks at a time. My Barbara's got me into that line of things. She read a book about that. What was it called, Barbara?
12-week year.
The 12-week year. And so we take things by 12-week pockets, because if you say I'm going to do it this year, sometimes that kind of takes it off your plate every day. I've got till the end of the year. And I saw that in the military. We'd be scrambling to spend all our money at year's end. We try to conserve it, and then at the end of the fiscal year, we try to spend it. So it's a better way of thinking about things. And so we do have a lot of. Barbara's really great with that. Musicians aren't notorious for being good planners. We just like to kind of write and record and play and, live in a creative bubble, but it takes real work to get those visions, to happen. These aren't the conversations you generally have with an audience. You're just more there to take their mind. Wayne Newton said this to me, and I'll drop his name. We got done with the USO tour, and he must have overheard me saying, "Oh, I can't believe we get to make music, for a living." And he came up and he said, he put his hand on my shoulder in Kuwait. He'll probably never remember this, but I'll never forget it. He put his hand on my shoulder and said, "Never apologize about being an entertainer." That's my poor Wayne Newton impression. He goes, "You have people in the audience that have family members back home that are sick. Their parents are older. Here they are deployed. They got financial troubles. Maybe they got a Dear Jane or a Dear John letter or email." He said, "For 90 minutes, we can take them away from all of that. And that's medicine," he said. And so that's my hope when we go out, that we can uplift people. There's always going to be a patriotic element to my shows. We don't try to beat people over the head with it, but at the same time, people know who I am by the third song. I think, as far as the things that I value them, the audience member. I value this country. I think the people that have put a lot of effort into disgracing our flag, there's a reason they do that, and they're heavily funded by people that are enemies to this country, from without, not just people within. But the reason they attack that flag, you mentioned that earlier. What's it mean when you see that flag? The reason they attack it is because that flag draws us in. When I'm performing, I have people all over the political spectrum in the audience, and all of them it's my goal that all of them leave that show with a greater love for our country. And what I find is, I don't think we're as divided as people would think. And I think music that's why the military bands had music. It helped unite the troops. It helped unite the public. And when we played overseas for people that knew nothing about the United States, music would often break the ice and create a connection that nothing else could. So I guess that's my mission in life. I want to uplift people, want to entertain them, and I want them to leave with a greater sense of pride in who we are as a country. And that's maybe a tall order, but that's my dream.
I don't think you're that far off, brother. I'll be honest with you. I don't think there is. Now, I think when you are facing it on the daily and what you want to listen to as far as media and this and that, it's not going to point the finger at media either. You have choice, but I don't think we are as separated as everyone wants to. I think people kind of enjoy talking about how separated we are, but I don't think we're that separated. I think when it comes down to it, I think the majority of you look at that guy and you say there's a value in them.
Absolutely. We're on the same page there.
What song you want to roll with now, brother?
Well, I think number 2 on the list I sent you was a song called Western Moon. That was co-written with my buddy Handsome Jake Mayer, just like the last song. And growing up in South Dakota, I didn't know how good I had it as a kid. I'd walk out of the farmhouse we grew up in. My dad and mom had 7 children. I was the second of 7. And we'd walk out of the farmhouse and we wouldn't see anything. There was no park. There was no swimming pool. There was no stores. And I longed for all of that. But now that I have access to all of that, I appreciate it and enjoy it. But there's nothing better than getting in on the highway and going back to the West, to go to places like Montana, Wyoming, Nebraska, South Dakota. It's special. Shows like Yellowstone have really brought that into focus, and even people that have never been there long for it. And I think the mystique of the West is as big or bigger than it ever was. So we wrote Western Moon with that in mind, and I hope people enjoy that song.
This is Mr. Jimmy Weber with Western Moon.
The early morning moon as I left to make my way, hanging over the frozen ground. I thought I heard it say, leave the breaking dawn behind you, like the embers of your past. From high above the western sky, I'll watch you coming home at last. Western moon, I hear you calling. Eastern sun, I'm on the run. Gonna leave behind this life I live. A new day has begun. Eastern sun, now I am leaving. Yeah, your rage and fires are done. I'm heading over the hills and rivers to the place where I come from. So I'll gather what is left of me and pack up all my pain, leaving eastern hearts behind, lost loves I could not tame. I follow songs that echo out from across the western fields, where the wind drowns out the wrong I've done and all the heartaches that I feel. Western moon, I hear you calling. Eastern sun, I'm on the run. Gonna leave behind this life I live. A new day has begun. Eastern sun, now I am leaving. Yeah, your rage and fires are done. I'm heading over the hills and rivers to the place where I come from. Where I come from. When my bones and when my body return as dust unto the land, will my soul still carry on? Will my legacy still stand? Will I even leave a memory? Will I even leave a trace? Or any small reminder of all the dreams that I once chased? Western moon, I hear you calling. You have saved me from my ruin. Yeah, Western moon, I'll be there soon. Western moon, Western moon.
That is Mr. Jimmy Weber with Western Moon. Do some quick shout outs. Carlos Santos, good to see you. Thanks for coming and checking us out. Christy Colleen, nice to see you. James Larabouche, nice to see you, brother. Amazing people coming, doing amazing things, watching, checking us out. Get it out there. Christy, thanks for your comments. Great song. Awesome. Let her roll. Let her roll. You were doing a lot of name dropping before, right? I'm going to take time.
We joked about that the other day, didn't we?
We did. It's all good. But we're gonna take time to brag a little bit on our part.
I'm Mark Peterson with the People's Patriot Project.
And I'm Andrea Eichmann with the People's Patriot Project.
And we are live here in Nashville at the Josie Awards at the Grand Ole Opry.
Tonight we'll be interviewing several of the nominees for Josie Awards.
Come be part of the shock and awe. Patriot Pride.
The podcast folks aren't getting to know what just happened, but we had the awesome, amazing blessing to stand and host the red carpet down at the Grand Ole Opry. Which why does Mark Peterson get to do that? There's no reason. Nope, it was a blessing, and to get to shake Willie Lee Golden's hand right off the bat, boom, from the Oak Ridge Boys, and all of a sudden the whole Golden family came through. What an amazing opportunity Andrea and I both got to experience based on an event that we were supporting with the Josie Awards, which is the #1 largest indie music recognition award program in the country. And then also just the fact that we did our own WP3 Nashville takeover, where we invited 26 veteran musicians into Nashville to play 6 venues in 5 days. And it was how long did it take you to recover from that event, Andrea?
That took forever. We were driving at one point, and we had a couple of our guests. One was a player, and one was his family member. And I'm driving back to the lodge where we were staying, and I couldn't stay. Mark and I had already taken turns driving. It was my turn. And I was like, I got to stop. And I jumped out at a rest area. I ran around the car about 5 times. I'm like, okay, let's go again. Let's see if I can get this done. And then when we got home, I was like, I think I slept for 3 days. It was crazy. It was crazy, but
amazing.
Yeah. Amazing, crazy.
One of the questions I asked Mr. Golden right off the bat was, you've been doing this for 50 years, brother. How have you, because we had been there for a week at that point, and getting into Thursday after being there from Monday, half of our musicians, half of them were falling off the schedule because they're like, I'm tired, I'm beat, I can't play anymore, I'm wrecked. And I'm just like, well, I ain't going to force you through a situation that's going to create more damage. So, I mean, take your break, do what we need to. And Mr. Golden was like, yeah, you got to learn to pace yourself, man. You can't hit it hard, and doing a week-long event is not, and I was out of gas too, but it was.
Well, that town will exhaust you. You know, Nashville it's a never-ending pleasure cruise. If you love country music, you just never run out of things to do. You know, I love that town still, but you get downtown in the evening and forget about it anymore. It's just one club after another, just extraordinary talent coming out of every woodwork. It's just amazing.
You know that everyone, like, when you go to Nashville, you got to get the Broadway, and that, you know what? I'm the guy that can try it and see it once. I don't have to go to Broadway ever again in my life. I mean, it is loud. It is sensory overload. And I don't know how these people do it. And these artists are so thirsty. They're so thirsty. We'll gig until 1 a.m. Then we'll hop on the bus and outload and this and that. We'll get to where we're staying. And then they'll all jam until 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. And then we start all over again at 9 to get everyone where they need to be. It was a recipe for disaster, but we loved every minute of it. And the relationships we built were absolutely freaking amazing. Well, you kind of went through the pieces because we're asked what you're working on, but you also kind of shoved what you're working on. What is the next big thing for Jimmy Weber and his amazing, I won't call it sidekick. She's the one running the show, and I know it. And I think you need to do a very valid, solid, strong shout out to that amazing support person you have.
Oh yeah, we're talking about Barbara, and we got married. It'll be 3 years ago, September 3rd. I looked at her and she said 3rd, like, because she was worried I was going to get the wrong day. But speaking of Nashville, we got married at Johnny Cash's farm. A lot of people are familiar with his mansion and his house in Hendersonville that's featured in the movie when it was still standing. And some fewer people, but many also know about his mother's house that he built across the street. That had its own legend. But I ran into a man. I was heading to Europe to tour with Ray Scott, who I mentioned before, and I met a man named Brian Oxley. And the short end of a very long story is he bought both the Mama Cash house, as it's called, and he bought a farm that Johnny owned, a 100-acre farm in Bonagua, Tennessee, which is about 45, 50 minutes from Nashville. And we've got to be friends. And he has since had many music festivals out there. I shot a music video, which we're going to, I guess, show later. I shot that out there. And then I proposed to Barbara in Johnny Cash's house. Some friends of mine I had arranged for a music video. They were shooting there, and we were in the next room. We were actually in Johnny's bedroom when I proposed because we had to be out of earshot while they were shooting a scene for this video. And a long story short is we got engaged there, we got married there, and it's a very special place to us. So we actually had our rehearsal dinner at the Grand Ole Opry. That was what we did for I think there was about 60 of our guests that showed up for that. So many of them made their way to Broadway, but we avoided it until the very end because it's so distracting and amazing down there. But Barbara is just the light of my life and just so supportive of my music career. And like I said, she does a wonderful job herding all the cats. Barbara has a famous, it should be a famous quote. She said, at least one of the people in a relationship with a musician, you got to have one civilian. She said you need somebody that could kind of keep you focused, and she does that very well for me. So anything big I've got in the works won't happen unless she's behind it, and I'm very blessed that she is.
Behind every amazing man. Isn't that how it goes?
There is a quote like that about behind every successful man is an amazing woman, and I would agree in my case. So we're hoping to shoot more music videos. That's one of the things that a lot of people complain about social media. It's just so fast moving and it's hard to keep your attention, but it is really great to have something visual to whatever you're putting out music wise. Even that the last video you showed was actually produced by a young lady named Shay Smith, who's a very successful songwriter. She got into making music videos, small ones that were very affordable. A full-length music video, which you'll see later, is quite a bit more detail and exponentially more expensive to make. But the one that we'll see later, it was worth it to me to really spare no expense as far as as far as I could put together resource wise, not just money, but the right people to be involved in it. Because of the subject matter, I really wanted it to make an impact. And so I guess we'll see that later, but we're hoping to get back in the studio. We'd like to start out with 50 dates this coming year. And I'd like to expand eventually into 100 dates a year. While we still have the energy to do things like that. And that's 100 dates a year doesn't mean 100 days work. That means quite a bit more, as you found out when you brought folks to town for 5 days, as you said. There's a lot more work went into that, I'll guarantee you, than the 5 days or 6 days that you were there.
Before and after, months and months of planning. Yeah. Miss Eichmann, it looks like we got a new guest in backstage. You want to do a little intro?
It looks like we have our friend Frank DeMyth here. Frank is here. Frank is our friend. Gosh, I think they give an award for attendance in this, Frank. And now your reward is to join us whenever you want to. Isn't that awesome?
I made a good time.
That's great. Frank has been on the show. He's got is the series called A Vital Interest, Frank? Or is the series of your books called A Vital Interest?
No, that's the first book.
It's just the first one.
It's called the Carson series.
The Carson series. There we go. Thank you. The hero so far. I like so I've just gotten into the second one because now school starts and I have to read it before that we really get into the meat and potatoes of school. So as the civilian in the room, I gotta say, it helps me understand a lot of things. I might hear blips of things, but the way you write makes it easy to understand and follow. A lot of the parts and pieces I would never know anything about. So it's much appreciated.
I was going to consider writing it in crayons for the Marines, but
well done, sir. Keep those coming.
So is it time for me to leave now?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Make sure you get a chance to get out there. And Mr. DeMyth has a whole series of books out there that Andrea has had the chance. Sadly, I have not had the chance. It's just one of the things that you don't get all these opportunities, but you can get out there. We'll throw the Amazon link into the chat real quick. Check out Mr. DeMyth and all the work that he's doing. It's awesome. Well, there's another reason why Mr. DeMyth is here. It's kind of could we call it a job interview? Is that what we're doing, Mr. DeMyth?
I should have worn a different shirt.
So we usually need more color in our show and opportunity, and we're looking at bringing Mr. DeMyth in to be more of a regular on the panel, and so I hope it works out. Again, we take what we can get, and I hope it is a good fit, and I had no doubt in my mind, actually. And so welcome aboard, Mr. DeMyth, and thanks for being here tonight.
Can you call me Frank if that's going to be the case? I mean,
yeah, we'll figure that piece out.
Look for my dad.
Well, there is a level of respect here I need to adhere to. So we'll work those pieces out, and I will work with Frank tonight. How's it?
Well, I was interested in your guest there. He said he had 50 dates and is working on getting 100 dates. That reminds me of my ex-wife.
I gotta watch my words. I was gonna say 100 performances, but that might be her too.
Yeah, well, I didn't know you knew her.
I trust me, Frank. You're a lot cleaner than one of my friends that was talking. Very similar story. He said, "Yeah." He said, "You're in
Well,
the
I
Air Force."
ran
man." He
6.5
said,
miles today and I took a shower.
He said, "You're in the Air Force. You were in the Air Force, man." I said, "Yes." I said, "We entertained the troops," and he said, "Yeah, my ex-wife, she entertained half the Army." And I said, "Well, was she in the Army band?" He goes, "No." And so I said, "Well, I bet you don't say that around her." He goes, "No, I do not." So,
Not when you're
well,
in
it's good
Army.
meeting you, Frank.
Say again?
It's good meeting you.
Same here, buddy.
So we got the next big thing for Mr. Weber. Let's get your last song up here, brother.
The next song is called Taps. The subtitle is God is Nigh, and nigh means near. Back when the melody for Taps was first introduced, it was during the Civil War, as best as our historians can come up with. Everybody knows that melody, or at least most people. They've heard it at funerals, and if you're in the military, oftentimes at installations they'll play it at night as one of the last things they do. Sometimes around 10 o'clock. But what I didn't know, and what most of the world doesn't know still, is that there were lyrics to the melody of Taps, and a friend sent them to me by email. He was actually the chair of the NCAA men's basketball, and he sent them to me because he had seen me sing the anthem, and he said, "Were you aware of these?" And I said, "No." And there was a story, a legend that went with them, but I was really captivated by the lyrics themselves. They were beautiful. They were written in an older style of English that was more popular back during the time of the Civil War and before. So they just kind of haunted me for a long time, and finally I put some music to it in Nashville, and I wrote a bridge with a Grammy-nominated producer named Dave Brainerd, who co-wrote the bridge with me and produced the song in the studio with some of Nashville's finest. And then I just sat on the song for a while. It just stayed on my computer or the CD or whatever I had it burned to. But I decided it was finally time to put a music video to it. And the man, Brian Oxley, who owns Johnny Cash's farm, invited me to shoot the video there free of charge and hooked me up with a video producer. And it was really just the two of us, me and that video producer, working together. And I had to go online to find images that I could use, because sometimes I'd find a picture that I wanted to put in the video, and somebody would say, "I need $5,000 for that." And that's really not what this video was about. It wasn't to make money for me or to bring me fame. When you see the video, you'll understand it. It's about those family members who are left behind and the Gold Star service members that give their life for our freedom. And so I hope you enjoy the video, but at the same time, keep those folks in mind that are pictured in the video and their families. There's a section in the bridge where I have family members holding up a picture of their lost loved one. In many cases, that's a son or another family member. But in one case, there's an older man from South Dakota holding up a picture of a young sailor. That young sailor in the picture is the father he never met. His father was killed in Pearl Harbor, and the son, now a man in his late 70s, holding up the picture. You think it's a father holding a son. It's not. He never met his dad. And when I spoke to him on the phone to get his permission and to get him to hold that picture and take a picture, he told me, "I never met my father, but I still miss him." And it's a beautiful story, but so many sacrifice so we can have conversations like this in freedom on the internet. This isn't a given, by the way. There's countries that used to be free, like England, where you don't have freedom of speech anymore. And those service members died to protect that. And I think the video tells its own story. So I'll let you go ahead and play that. Now, this is Taps, God is Nigh.
This is Tap, God is Nigh.
You'll always be my little boy.
Son, we don't tell you this enough, but we're really proud of you.
Take care of Mom, Dad.
That's my ride.
Day is done, gone the sun from the lakes, from the hills, from the sky. All is well, safely rest. God is nigh. Fading light dims the sight, and a star gems the sky, gleaming bright. From afar, drawing nigh, falls the night. For all the sons and daughters who have died for you and me, who fought with pride and honor, and now rest in the name of peace, it echoes up to heaven, this sacred melody, and serves as a reminder of the reasons we are free. Thanks and praise for our days. Neath the sun, neath the stars, neath the sky. As we go, this we know.
You been dreaming about our boy again?
It just seems so real.
God is nigh.
Jimmy Weber, Taps, God is Nigh. That's the number 2 song in my world that every time I hear that song, There's a reason, there's a purpose, and someone has gotten some information that is going to ruin their day, to be honest with you. I don't know that anyone will receive that message in a positive way. I mean, it is what it is. Thank you for your service. Your loved one is no longer with us. Thank you, Jimmy Weber. There was a comment you made right at the start of that, and I didn't know whether to put the comment in. I wanted to get to the song, but it is the People's Patriot Project statement of purpose. I think that's the official thing I'm going to call it. We know why we get to do this. Thank you to the service members and first responders that have committed their time, sweat, blood, limbs, family, and life to give us the freedoms that we have that allows us to do what we do daily. Whether that is taking and going and driving whatever vehicle you've chosen to drive and afford, and picking up whatever little coffee latte, cappuccino latte, McCuckoo, whatever to drink, to do whatever podcast, to do whatever song, to do the choice to choose what you're going to eat in the day, what house you live in. All this is offered to you because the men and women who have put on the uniform. We have first responders that walk out their front doors every day, running into burning buildings while people are running away. And men and women holding the hands of our loved ones who are taking their last breath. Where we sit back and gripe and complain because you didn't get there fast enough. You didn't get there when you wanted them. Well, the rest of us lay our big fat heads on the pillows of freedom daily, not questioning that opportunity. I get pretty graphic and stoked knowing that 90% of our country, not an attack, these are just numbers. 90% of our country has no investment into that. And they get to live with the freedoms and liberties that have been provided to them. Thank you, Mr. Weber, for that amazing, heartfelt rendition. It puts it in another space, puts it in another place, puts it in a... I should have taken the MP3 of that and have it for the background music for our final set here. Because that is... It's classy. I love classy.
Well, many thanks. And I say that on behalf of Dave Brainerd, my co-writer, to Trevor George, who shot that video, and to all his, editing teams that he worked with after that, and to Brian Oxley for allowing us to shoot that free of charge. As far as location fees, I wouldn't have been able to afford that if that was a corporation that was involved. He's just so kind, and of course to all the families. One of the members that was in the video is the late Blondie Wagner, a family friend, holding up a picture of her son Greg, who gave his life in Iraq. I had just gotten back from Iraq in the early part of May. And I think it was a week or two later that Greg was killed there. He was part of the Army National Guard that was deployed from South Dakota there. And so that's Greg Wagner's picture there from 2006. And it's, it's interesting. It's going on 20 years since we lost him. But that's a pain family members never get over. And that's why it's so important to me to try to keep their memories alive. and to also try to engender that patriotism, which isn't a given anymore. It's you would think it would be, but it's not. There's a very well-funded effort coming from outside of our country and inside to disgrace our service members and disgrace the flag that represents them and all of us. And I think rightfully the American people have finally got to the point where they said enough is enough. You can do that if you like, but we're not going to be subjected. And we're not going to get on that bandwagon at all. So I'm grateful for the spirit in this country. I think the vast majority of Americans love and support our military, and it's a very vocal minority that don't. And they should be allowed to say whatever they want, but they should also hear our response. That same freedom of speech that defends them to say their piece defends us to rebuke them. Peacefully, of course.
I love it. I love it.
The fact that I have to say peacefully is just part of that whole thing, I guess, but of course, peacefully. And
absolutely. So we're at the point in time of our show where we've learned all the amazing parts of Jimmy Weber and his talent and craft with his music.
You heard my version of it. You heard my censored version.
Yeah, it's all good. It's
nobody gave Barbara a mic tonight.
We'll have to do that sometime because
no, we should not.
So this is the time where we wrap the show up, and we have more banter when we have more guests, and it is what it is. There's still a ton of amazing information in this show tonight with amazing content, amazing music, and an amazing message. At some point in the panel, everyone has a connection during the show while it's happening. And we, first of all, want to say thank you. Frank, do the best you can. I know you came in later, but we're going to go with our final thoughts. We're going to let Andrea start off our evening with final thoughts, and then we'll go to Frank, and then Jimmy, and then I'll close her up.
Okay, so as I was thinking through things a little bit, Jimmy, thank you for all that you have shared with us. I feel like I learned a ton, new things and nuances, and I actually just looked up Brian Oxley in the Mama Cash house. I got curious and wanted to see it all. So little things like that I might have figured out someday, but did today instead. Some of the best points that I'm going to keep as takeaways is we always do make we had so many overlapping pieces, but we always do talk about the connection that music makes. And so many of our artists come in and they say, I'm not doing this for fame or money. I'm doing this because I was there and I saw things or I experienced things and I brought things home. And I know the pain, the suffering, the memories. If what I share can help one person, that's all I hope out of all of this. If it helps more, then that's the bonus. And so you said it in another way because you've traveled over. You've performed for the troops and talked about how it ties things back. It unites the troops, but it also brings in as the person that didn't serve. I will say that those songs, when I know that they come from someone and I get to know that person who has served, that even means more to me. There's some good songs out there that people haven't served, but they got a great music connection, right? There's a few good songs like that. But when you know that person served, whether they were elsewhere or here, they've had that connection. And so it does pull civilians into that world and connect civilians to their patriotism. The more we can get those stories out there and those songs out there, I just really think hearing you guys talk about this, if we can't find all those people and unite them, and I find them because we spoke also about the words of the national anthem and the taps being played and now words with taps. I think the most emotional places I hear it are the rodeo, NASCAR, and the demo derbies with the fair grounds. And then I loved it at I might have gone to a preseason football game, and everyone that I could hear near me was singing along. And it didn't matter what your background was. I mean, we were in the nosebleeds, and we could hear. It was really cool that they know the words and that they are not keeping quiet anymore. They're singing along. And so I think I feel that patriotism and showing it is coming back, showing up strong again. We need that, and we need that in the worst way. And these are the things that the books, the songs, the music being shared, and hopefully the People's Patriot Project trying to get it out there along with others. There are other podcasts and videos and live shows out there that are helping to get that message out there and to bring it from those who have served and been there. So thank you very much for sharing tonight. It's much appreciated.
I have to say Frank's turn, because I got in trouble for saying Mr. DeMint.
Well, first of all, I'd like to say thanks for having me on. I really enjoy being with you guys. And Mr. Weber, you have a fan here now, and I wish I could have heard the other songs, but trust me, I will hear them. And thank you for what you do. I see things all the time in the news, and it's good to hear voices of responsibility and common sense. And I haven't seen a guest on this show that doesn't have both. And God bless you all. And whatever part I make people play, believe me, I'm thoroughly overjoyed and happy to be here. God bless you all.
Thank you, Mr. DeMint. Mr. Weber.
Well, thank you so much, Mark and Andrea, for having me on. And I'd like to thank my wife, Barbara, for trying to set up a podcast viewable setting.
It looks great. It really does.
Well, she about broke out the makeup when she saw this pale mug on the screen. But thank you so much for having us, and thank you for doing what you can and for our veterans, and your heart for connecting them to the resources they need. It's been an honor to meet Frank tonight. Barbara will be on Amazon looking for your books. She reads about 3 books a day. I don't know how she does it, but we just really love that there's such a spirit out there, and people are going to the time, effort, and expense of doing things that edify our servicemen and women and their families. And so thank you so much. And thanks for playing my music on behalf of my co-writers, producers, everybody that has a hand in that. All the musicians, I want to thank Buddy Hyatt and Mike Rogers and all the players that make the music possible to bring it to the radio and to the internet and formats like that. It allows us to tour, and we get to meet new friends like Frank. And hopefully if we're in your area, Frank, you'll come and introduce yourself and maybe sign one of your books for us.
You got it.
Yay.
Another evening of blessings, another evening of growth. Thank you for our amazing guests who come on here. Again, it's when I sit and look back, and we are on episode 267. And we've never missed a Sunday once we started. We tried to miss one once, and we failed miserably because our followers started. It was after a 2-day event, and our followers, we called our guests and we said, we can't do it. I'm out of gas, man. I'm done. And the next thing I know, someone was shaking my big toe, and they're like, you're live right now. And I'm like, what? And our followers had begged us to come on, which, what an amazing opportunity that is. Thank you for holding us accountable and being real. Thank you for your accolades, Mr. DeMith and Frank, and in acknowledging the work that goes into putting this together. And thank you for the amazing WeP3 team that puts this together. Thank you for doing that and letting us do things that we shouldn't. I mean, it's awesome to get to experience it, but how many gee moments, the moments where I'm the happy papa because of the mission. Thank you for our followers that come and check us out. Please continue to follow, like, share, subscribe, and get our content out there. We've been absolutely blessed in the recent polls with Good Pods to be ranked number one as a nonprofit podcast and ranked number 4 all time. Number 4 all time as a nonprofit podcast. That's exciting for me. I don't take it lightly. And then I get to sit and listen to songs like the national anthem and taps. That is takes my breath away. It tugs on my heartstrings. I know all kinds of people lose people, and it happens. I will like to do a quick shout out to Andrew Mowry and his family. A brother I served with back in the day lost his wife to cancer this last week, and I got the awesome opportunity to sit in her memorial this week and listen to the amazing stories and the amazing support she was to Andrew as a service member. And so our hearts go out to that family this week. This next week, we have the awesome opportunity to come back. Come check us out tomorrow at 4:30, 16:30. Got to say that because that's military standards. Every Monday, we come back here to share what the WeP3, the People's Patriot Project team, is working on, what we're doing, and where we're going. We are and celebrate transparency and collaboration. That's why we have boots on the ground organizations join us every single week. Some grab on, some don't. It is what it is. We're going to continue to make a difference. And then we'll be back here next week, same time, 1800 Central Standard Time. That is the wrong graphic. I guess the graphic didn't load. All right, we'll get to that. Life's life, man. But we do have the amazing, that's Josh Rainey with Freedom Ops. Danny Stokes is coming on with him. He's the founder of Freedom Ops. And the cool cat, Caleb Bowles, who is another slam dunk musician, just like Mr. Weber. Again, go check out WeP3 Radio. You can get it anywhere because it's an internet radio. So you don't have to be in a certain spot to get it. You put in WeP3 on your phone. It'll connect to your car. There is also an app for Live 365 that you can pull it in. We're working on getting onto Odyssey right now. Another amazing opportunity. Thank you, everyone, for being here tonight. Thank you for your amazing missions in life. And we will check you. Make sure you're doing your check 6. Take your pride.
You got it.
Patriot Prize.